Chief here, and I have another thought. Today, I was thinking about community um, and what happened to it, and how what's happening today is we have to build these makeshift communities with people who may incidentally um, identify or may incidentally, you know, have some same characteristics as us. Because we've been so debased and so deculturalized that we must find family and an identity that's only, you know, pretty much seen on a social media space. Um, but I also think the social media space, along with the lack of a father in the home, of course, which is the number one sign that a community is broken. Any community, and the father is being torn out of every community for the most part. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, actually, no, it's a lot because that's very important to community. But I'm talking about community in terms of like our society, that, and in terms of our neighbors as well. Something like something as simple as that, like community, as in our neighborhood, the places where we live, where you know. But in this society, you know, that type of community is only usually grouped just by some neighborhood name and not by any connectivity of the people actually in that community. Um, you know, because this, you know, what's going on in the world today, the pandemic, the scamdemic, um, really proved that we don't have any community, that we're hoarders and we're selfish. Because instead of huddling together, even though I understand they said that this disease, you know, you shouldn't be next to anybody, instead of sharing things in the community with each other, people hoarded it. You know, not thinking about a family that may not be able to get to the grocery store in time to hoard like you. And I think that some of that behavior was just so despicable, and that people don't even see that, don't see how awful that was, and how awful it's going to be, because it's going to keep getting worse. It's going to get worse, and you know, I think people need to, or necessarily need to prepare for that. But that does not mean you have to. Fuck it, I don't even know what I'm saying. The community's been destroyed. There's no fucking such thing as community. You know, we don't know anything about our neighbors, and most people don't even want to know anything about their neighbors. I talk about isolation and alienation, and we have alienated ourselves from our communities already. You know, we have no connection at all, except for incidentally maybe, and that's not a way to build any type of connection. That's why I'm so against that. Because even though I talk about the black community and I love my community, and I hope that we do build a strong community where we can work together and build together and educate our kids, and in the home and in the actual institutions in our neighborhood. I hope all of that. I want all of that. But I understand that community is so broken, and our mindsets are so selfish. And understand that this society kind of almost forces you to think that way, especially when you're in a class where resources are very, very limited. But even with those limited resources, you know, we can still do a lot, especially if we're disciplined, especially if we have a community that's willing to support good ideas and support, you know, people who they see, you know, are standouts. If we're willing to see that, but we can't see that because we don't know each other. You know, we're not actually trying to get into these schools and actually understand that, hey, there needs to be some sort of there needs to be, it should be natural that the public should be actually involved in everything, including the curriculum in these schools. And a curriculum that should be based upon a community, wherever that school is. It doesn't have to be it cannot be some, you know, overarching, you know, you can just put every single school should have the same standards. I mean, not just, they should have the same standards, which is excellence, as close as you can get to excellence. But they should, they can have different curriculums as based upon the neighborhood that they're in. Maybe you don't have to teach everybody a certain history. I think it's smart for people to research that history on their own and maybe offer classes, about certain histories, especially about, our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, and, talk about, of course, you got to talk about the British Isles. I mean, that's just off the top of the head. I don't know. Those are just examples of what the fuck we can put in these schools, And also understand, how do we prepare these kids for the job market? Because, like, these fucking elite people, they be planning shit so far in advance. But they can't predict that they need to start the next generation of American workers when they're fucking in 4th grade at least, or 3rd grade, or 2nd grade, or have one of these fucking genius, brilliant algorithm fucks figure it out, or one of these statisticians or somebody figure the shit out, and we get it done, And I know that I give these solutions, and I just try to live the solutions as best I can, which I think we do have an individual, duty to do so, and then also I think community, also we have to understand that we have to diversify it as well. We can't have 1,000 restaurants or fucking 1,000, markets, or a fucking 1,000, flower shops or whatever the fuck, we can't have, 1,000 of everything. And then we necessarily have to outsource everything to big corporations who are just mass producing bullshit. We have to go back to people actually understanding that we have to put in hard work to build our communities, and there's not going to be anybody besides us who can do so. And it's proven to be that, and that's not a bad thing. We should take up that mantle in our communities and be responsible for what the outcomes there, as much as there are historical disparities. Because I think that if we're disciplined and we figure it out, because we can, we'll figure it out, because we can. And there's not anybody who's going to tell me that we can't, especially if we focus inward. And then if, somebody comes to our community, our strong community, that has everything that we need, even security force, even our own police, where people in our community are proud to be policemen, because I think that in principle it can be an honorable job, but there's way too many abuses, and the system's way too corrupt now to, do that. But I think if we isolate that to communities, I think we can get some kind of good justice. And we also should be in the courts. We should be ones judging our people, and because we don't have those, and we shouldn't have those natural biases towards our people. Something that we tend to have now, in my estimation, which is really what's keeping a lot of our community from building. I think that so wholeheartedly, and I will never ever denounce that white supremacy doesn't exist. But even if you look at our history, that's how we beat it, by building strong communities. And like, oh, they burned it down. Well, try to burn down the next one. Try to burn down the next fucking one. We just have to build it. But it starts with, being smart, being neighborly, understanding that, man, you can't hoard. And if somebody knocks on your door because they don't have enough, because some fucking asshole put 1,000 steaks in their freezer and fucking bought up 10 fucking thousand pounds of rice, and fucking was just panicking like a little bitch, like everybody is fucking panicking, not trying to slow down and think about shit, because there's just no patience for it anymore. Most people just want to absolve their feelings. But that's a lot right there, but that's just, how I feel off the cuff. But, we just necessarily have to get back to community. And there's a reason why they broke it up, because they don't want us focused inward and what we can do to change the society. Because maybe if we focus on our communities, we'll just figure it out that you can uninstall social media apps, you can turn off the television. Like, that's not even an option. Wow, it is an option for some people, but it's just funny how that's not a thought process of a lot of people. Because like when I look around my community, I do see like divisiveness and like coldness. People don't smile. But I have noticed some people have been smiling, especially when the mask off. I think that's a good thing, but I know that the smiles are going to get worse, especially I don't know. I don't want to say any of that stuff, but the point is that social media does not have to control our communities and any thought process in our community. And I feel like the only reason I'm attacking social media is because that's how they're disseminating all this information quickly to a lot of people, and it's forcing us to think about things that may be deep, and do deserve some solutions, but they're not actually trying to tell us to sit down and work on the solutions, which they shouldn't have to. That should be innate within us. And that's just on a grand scale, because I know there's people trying to build community. Of course, there's people working hard trying to do it. But that's just something that's community is for us to build. You cannot be incidentally a community. That is the most farcical and just most common sense thing that I think we should already know. There's no place in history that was just a community based upon incidental characteristics. I think strong fathers, and I think I'll do something else about fatherhood, because that's something that's really I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. But anyway, we need to rethink about how we think about community and our impact, our individual impact, and not blaming or passing the buck to historical oppression or historical events that we're trying to latch ourselves onto, because there may be some remnants of it today, even though there's more opportunity to actually defeat those oppression. And we've done it, oh my God, we've done it under the worst circumstances. I mean, I understand that we can argue that they just done so much shit to our community, but I just can't help but know that, or actually I do know that the solution is us to rebuild our communities, and we know that, and I think that's slowly being figured out, slowly, very slowly. But anyway, let me go. That's my thought of the day.